What's good, everybody, and welcome to BodyBag Podcast. I'm Chris Thomas, and with me, as always, Broke Writer Dave.
How we doing, everybody?
Just stopped myself from making what might have been potentially a problematic opening.
Yeah.
Just having a little bit of fun over here, finding out that we've done this for like going on 3 years, and now I'm just finding out that Dave is part Native American, and he's finding out that I'm part Filipino.
Yeah.
Not enough to notice,
No.
but enough to warrant saying it out loud.
Yeah.
But y'all aren't here for that. Y'all are here for this versus battle.
This versus battle.
Or Chris needs this win battle.
Oh, man.
So
I would call this the Battle of Mid.
The Battle of Mid, you say?
Because that's how I felt about both of these movies.
I certainly feel that way, more so about one of them.
There's definitely one that was better than the other.
Now, this is
like, there's one that's mid, and then there's one that's like, oof.
Alright, so
that was a rough one.
Now, this will be interesting, because now you gave me one, because you've been going on a roll lately and giving me ones that you have not seen.
Yep, and that strategy got me to a 2-0 lead.
And I've been giving you ones that I more so wanted you to just kind of see. Like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, I didn't think it was going to win me, but I still wanted you to see it anyway.
Yeah.
And I forget what we started off with.
I think you gave Slither, and I gave her, what was it?
It was Alien stuff, and you gave me Event Horizon.
Event Horizon, there you go.
See, that was another one where it was like, Slither, I haven't heard about that movie in a long time. I wonder if Dave's seen it.
That was the one movie I've seen that I chose was her.
I've been giving you movies that I haven't seen, because I'm kind of gambling too, because I'm giving you movies that I haven't seen in many, many, many years.
Yeah.
And seeing if they hold up. So both of our gambles definitely been weighing heavily in your favor. But do you have a preference of who goes first or second?
I'm good either way.
All right. Why don't you get us kicked off then? I think I started off last time. Why don't you get us kicked off?
All right. So
Jacob's Ladder.
All right. Yeah, you chose Jacob's Ladder, which is a 1990s. It actually came out in 1990.
Yep.
Psychological horror. And quick review, basically follows a guy after Vietnam, and he's just dealing with shit.
Yeah, he's not having a good time after Vietnam.
Yeah. And then, so the opening scene, it opens up with them in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it does, but every time I think about the opening scene of this movie, I think about it with Fortunate Sons playing.
I think that's just because it's Vietnam. You can't not have that song playing in the back of your mind when you see Vietnam.
They don't play it in the movie, but when I think about that scene, that song.
You just hear the guitar. You just hear the That's just because that's any Vietnam movie that always plays in the back of my mind too.
Such a good song too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're in Vietnam, and they're army soldiers. They're bullshitting and whatnot. Just kind of
got them on an in between period.
Yeah, kind of just relax and bullshit, and then one of them starts freaking out because they think they see something, and they all start shooting and fighting, and
chaos ensues.
Our main character, Tim Robbins, he gets stabbed, and he's laying there.
Yeah, Andy Dufresne gets stabbed.
He's laying there, and next to him, he jumps up awake, and he's in a subway in New York City.
Fell asleep
on the subway. And his post office uniform, because he now works for the post office, which I think is a very good touch. Because I don't know if a lot of people know this, but if you're a veteran, the post office, they hire mostly veterans.
I did know that, and that was a pretty good, cool little thing.
And like your time in the post office will go on like your service time towards retirement. So
yeah, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool that they added that little thing.
Yeah. And he wakes up, and he tries to ask this old lady, who's just kind of staring ahead, not even paying attention to him, if he's past the stop already. Yeah, she's just...
doesn't say anything.
Nothing. He's like, okay. And then he sees this homeless guy, and then he thinks he sees like a tentacle sticking out of him.
That's weird.
He freaks out, and then it just stops. He gets off the subway. The exits are locked, so he has to jump across the subway. He jumps the tracks, almost gets hit by a train. And then after that, he gets out of the subway, heads home, and he gets to his apartment that he lives at with his girlfriend,
Jezebel.
Jezebel.
Oh, which have you seen her in anything before?
No.
Because I've only ever seen her in one other thing, and that was in the first Rush Hour.
She was a little... Okay.
She was the one that Chris Tucker had the hots for.
Okay. And he basically wakes her up because he bumps into furniture because she's moving things around. And he talks to her about his day and whatnot. And it goes to the next morning where she wakes him up and she's like, some kid dropped these off for you. It's pictures of his ex-wife and his kids.
one of whom is very familiar looking.
Yeah.
I completely forgot that Macaulay Culkin was in this.
And he looks through the picture. He sees a picture of one of his sons that actually passed away.
That's Culkin.
Played by Macaulay Culkin, yeah. And I thought it was funny. She's like, yeah, why can't you learn the name of my kid? She's like, I don't care, too.
I'm like, why is this chick so mean?
Yeah. Like Jezebel, this thing is, she's very hot and cold towards him.
Like, she's about to rip up his photos because he's looking at the picture of Gabe and it is making him cry. Obviously, yeah. It's his dead son who died before Vietnam.
She's like, I don't like things that make you cry.
Like, I don't like people ripping up my things. So
right. And then he goes about his day. He's going about his day, going on his post office route. A car tries to run him down.
Just out of nowhere, just tries to run him down.
And the people he sees in the car aren't like normal people. They look like demons.
Yeah, faceless demon-looking kind of stuff.
Yeah, so he, of course, like anybody, he freaks out and goes to see his like psychiatrist doctor, and the nurse on charge was like, that person doesn't exist. He's like, yes, he does.
Yeah, he goes to the doctor. He's like, I've been going here for years.
Yeah, and she's like, he doesn't exist. So he basically tries to like break in and find the doctor's office. Finds this little group therapy session thing going on. Then
basically he finds out that his doctor is dead. Yeah,
doctor died in a car explosion. And so that night, Jacob goes to a party.
So this would be in the 70s, I believe, yeah? This is like 75, I believe.
Yeah, if it's shortly after Vietnam, it would be in the 70s.
So I believe the wiki says that this is going on in 1975. Just in case anybody's wondering, like, how far, like, after Vietnam this is.
Yeah, and basically, while he's there, Jacob's having a good time, and he's talking with this one girl, and she does a palm reading for him, and she's reading his palm, and she's like, you're already dead.
He's like, that's weird.
Yeah,
well, obviously weird. I'm not. I mean, I'm talking to you.
Yeah. And so he goes back downstairs, starts dancing with people, and he starts having hallucinations. He's under attack, and he starts freaking out. And basically, Jezebel takes him home, and his temperature's so high, it reaches the highest point of one of those old school thermostats that would, kind of have the mercury in them and stuff. Yeah.
Like dude's about to die.
Yeah. So she throws him in a bathtub with a bunch of ice. And then Jacob wakes up. And now this movie kind of throws you off because when he wakes up, he's with his ex-wife.
Yeah, Sarah.
And he's like, yeah, I just had the weirdest dream. I was dating Jezebel from the post office. It was so weird. Yeah.
I dreamt I was on fire and the ice was burning me.
Yeah. And his son Gabe's alive.
He comes in the room.
Yeah. And then has some more flashbacks from Vietnam.
If this sounds like kind of jumpy, it's because this movie jumps around a lot.
It's hard to keep up with the times. I had to rewind a couple of times because I'm like, did I miss something? Or
it's a part of it makes sense at the end, but this movie does jump around between different things going on.
Yeah.
Like 1 minute he's in Vietnam, 1 minute he's with his fiance, or his wife Sarah.
Right.
Another instance he's with his girlfriend Jezebel.
And
it's like it's all out of order.
Yeah, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, what's real. Wakes up again, and Jezebel's like, you melted like, I think she said 50-something pounds of ice in 6 hours because he was so hot.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like 50-something pounds in 6 or 7 or 8 hours. Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
It was a short time span, but yeah. And basically, while he's out, he was contacted by one of his old platoon mates.
Yep.
So he meets him up at a bar, and he realizes his platoon mate's seeing the same things as him, basically.
Yeah, he's not going crazy. It's
Yeah.
like because as throughout this movie, remember Tim Robb and Jacob has been seeing people or seeing things that look like demons.
Yeah, really feeling like he's going crazy out of his mind. And then after the bar, as they're leaving, his old platoon mate gets in his car. His car explodes.
Just like the doctors.
Yeah, just like the doctor.
One who died that they said it was a car accident, and it's a car accident. What happened? It just exploded. That doesn't sound like an accident. It just exploded.
Right. And then they go. Then they're at the funeral for the platoon mate that died, and he's talking with a bunch of other people from his old platoon.
Mm-hmm.
And they all realize they're all kind of messed up in the way, and they're seeing things and everything like that.
Something happened.
Yeah, so they felt like the army did something to them. So they go to a lawyer, played by none other than Jason Alexander.
Hey.
And they're like,
George.
Yeah. They're like, hey, we want to do the suit against the army. First he's like, and then they talk about it. He's like, all right, I'll look into it. And then he gets a call back from the lawyer, and he missed it, but he gets a message that he's not taking they don't have a case because all his platoon mates dropped out.
Yeah, for quote unquote psychological reasons.
Yeah. And he is pissed off, so he goes to find the lawyer. He's like, what the hell? No, we have a case. He's like, no, I looked in your file. You were never in Vietnam. You were doing a training exercise in Thailand. You guys are all discharged from that.
It's like so now it's like no what at this point nobody knows what's going on, like including the audience. Like
you're just like okay, all right. So he leaves, and then he's abducted in a car by these guys in the suits. And Tim Robbins, he don't play like that, so he fights his way out of the car.
He's had to face the sisters in Shawshank. He can handle these guys.
Yeah, ends up falling out of the car, landing on a curb and getting paralyzed.
Ow.
Just to look up at Santa to get robbed by him. It's one of those, what was it, Army? One of those people that rings the bell during Christmas time for donation.
Oh, Salvation Army?
Salvation Army, there it is. One of those Santas that was sitting on the corner. He robs them. He goes to the hospital. They're like, I don't know who this guy is. And while he's being wheeled through this hospital, he starts really hallucinating.
Yeah, you don't want to be strapped down in a hospital and start hallucinating.
Yeah. Like, he basically thinks his thing's running over body parts. He sees people crawling on top of the roof looking down at him.
Very Silent Hilly.
Yeah, it's a really twisted scene. And basically, I forgot the exact word. It's something like, it's someone's doctor, I don't belong here. And the doctor's like, yes, you do, because you're dead already.
You're dead already.
Yeah. And he's like, no, call my chiropractor. Yeah.
That's such a funny thing. I'm not dead, call my chiropractor.
Yeah.
Who you see at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, he visits him in the beginning of the movie, but yeah.
He's kind of like he's kind of like a friend who's his chiropractor. They have friendly back and forth when he's his back. And
then his chiropractor barges in,
like,
takes him to his office, somehow feels him, and Tyrone's all good now.
Yeah, I mean, he's a chiropractor, dude. This is what he's trained for.
Yeah. And then he was talking about, being scared to die or whatever, and he says...
I have the quote here.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say, no, regardless of how you feel about this, I do like this quote.
Yeah.
Because Jacob is scared. He thinks he's dying, and he's scared, and he's seeing because he's been seeing demons all over the place. And his chiropractor
Quote 14th century Christian mystic Meister Eckhart.
Yeah,
is who originally said this. Yeah,
he says, "The only thing that burns in hell is the part of you that won't let go of life. Your memories, your attachments. They burn them all away. But they're not punishing you. They're freeing your soul. So if you're frightened and dying, you're holding on. You see devils tearing your life away. But if you've made your peace, then the devils are really angels freeing you from the earth." Now, I like that. I like that as a sentiment.
That is a very nice sentiment, yeah.
Which is pretty much the crux of the movie. So, which we're wrapping up here.
Yeah. And then after this, Jacob is approached by a guy who is like, "Hey, so I know what happened to you. Basically, I used to make LSD. They made me make drugs for the army. I made a drug that, made you guys straight killers, and you guys were supposed to be the meanest fighting force ever.
But we had to test it.
Yeah, but so instead of killing the enemy, you guys all killed each other."
Yeah, they didn't tell them that they slipped them some of this like drugs that were supposed to make them like good fighters, but then they just basically turned into homicidal maniacs.
Yeah. And
which, by the way, the name of the drug was called Ladder.
Yeah, Ladder. And then after this, Jacob just kind of gets in the cabin and says, "Take me home." And it takes him to his old place that he had with his ex-wife.
Yep, and Gabe's there.
When he's there, he's greeted by his son Gabe, who kind of brings him upstairs and takes him to his peace. He's at peace now. And then it flashes back to Vietnam, where the doctor's like, he flatlined. And you find out, Jacob was still in Vietnam this entire time.
This was all going through his mind as he was struggling to stay alive.
Yeah. Like that quote, in your last second you see your life flash before your eyes kind of deal. Yeah.
He was basically, he saw demons until he made his peace.
Exactly.
And they basically said he looked peaceful as he
was going, yeah. All right. Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob's Ladder. So it is a well. First off, this is also what you get. He said this is the thing of this is the episode of Mid, but that's kind of what you get with psychological horror because you kind of roll the dice with psychological horror movies.
Yeah.
But go ahead, man.
All right. So,
what's your thoughts?
So, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't like a terrible movie or anything. I thought the effects were pretty good
for 1990.
Yeah,
it definitely looked like a couple of Linkin Park videos I saw when they did the. Yeah. You've seen that effect that they have on the demons that they basically speed it up to make it look like the faces like moving all jittery. I've seen that in a lot of 90s music videos, especially like grunge music videos.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's not going to be one of my favorite movies ever, but
I needed something, for psychological horror, and that was one that I hadn't seen long enough that I thought, well, it is a movie that, well, it's good enough that it got remade, so it.
Yeah, I've never seen the remake either.
So I figured we should at least talk about the original.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those movies that I might have to watch a couple more times to fully grasp everything.
I can understand people not liking it because the way it jumps around. If that kind of storytelling bothers you, I can understand that.
That doesn't bother me that much.
Not you specifically. I just mean like audiences.
There's a lot of people, because it can be confusing, but that's also the point of this movie, though.
It's a yes. To me, this go ahead.
You're not really supposed to understand everything that's going on at the time.
Yeah, so you're basically experiencing this as he's experiencing it.
Exactly.
Was there anything instead of like a kill? This one in particular didn't have like a real kill of the movie, but did you
No.
have a scene in particular that you thought, well, that was interesting? Maybe a shot or a.
Uh,
If
I
not,
just,
that's cool.
no, the scene where they try to run him down with the car.
Mhm.
Because his day goes from being perfectly average, normal, seems like he's having a pretty good day,
Mhm.
to like super weird in a matter of seconds.
I will say that is something that plays in this movie's benefit is that at least there's an action beat every so often that will keep you at least awake.
Yeah.
It's not like boring like Soul Survivor. Stuff will
Yeah.
happen in this at least.
Yeah. Yeah,
In
there's
fact,
things happening here. Yeah.
In fact, I think that's the movie that because I remember I had mentioned Jacob's Ladder one time in a review and said it feels like it was trying to be like Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah, I
I
think that was
think
probably the one.
I think that was the one
Because it's very much the same.
exact plot of or the
Yeah.
same kind of plot, but I think this one at least does it better. At least keeps you interested. In Soul
Right.
Survivor, it was just fucking boring.
So fucking boring. God damn, that movie's terrible. But yeah, so that was Jacob's Ladder. So now let's give it some scores.
All right, let me uh, bust open my score thing here. Okay.
Alright. So for technicals, for being a 1990s movie, we'll give it a 7.
I gave it a 7.1. I'm starting to do like point to like the littlest points, but 7.1 pretty much the same. Yeah.
Yeah, no, making it hard on my math here.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
sometimes a 7.1 gets across something better than a 7.0. So
Yeah. Alright, and then story. It's a decent story,
hmm
but it is also kind of a mess at times as well.
I understand because you're
Yeah.
trying to be like I get it, but that's the point of it. But at the same time, that's
Yeah.
why I get what you mean.
Yeah, like so I'm gonna go 5.5 on the story.
Okay. I went 6.7 on the story because I like the story and I thought it is told well. And I personally don't mind the jumping around. I
Yeah.
personally have fun with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I did say I didn't go any higher just because I was like, well, I can understand if people don't like how that jumps around.
Yeah.
I said it's longer than Speak No Evil, but there were still action beats to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that score.
Yeah. And then enjoyment. It was an okay movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again. But if it's someone has it on, I'm not gonna be like, hey, turn that shit off.
Or you wouldn't groan if somebody was
Yeah.
watching it.
So I'm gonna give it a 5.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I particularly enjoy it. It's not my most favorite psychological horror, and it's also one of those that um, I'm gonna give a 6.5 to.
Okay.
I like it, but like you said, I'm not gonna go out of my way to watch it. But I do appreciate the story that it told, and the jumping around didn't bug me so much.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, any movie made in the '90s is also going to feel nostalgic to me. So
That's true.
because I just love that the feel of it. So
All right. So your overall score was a 20.3 out of 30. Mine was an 18 out of 30. For the average score being a 19.15 out of 30.
okay,
That's a pretty good score.
that's a pretty good score.
Yeah.
Now it's time for mine. Now this is where it's going to get interesting.
Yeah.
So you rolled the dice on this one and gave me Speak No Evil.
Yes.
Now before giving me this one, did you know anything about it? Or
Like, I saw people clamoring about how this was one of the better movies of 2022.
Mhm.
Like, I've seen some things on the internet about this being a really good movie.
uh
obviously that was clickbait. Now we know.
I was terrified because I got it mixed up and thought that you told me. I got it mixed up with a movie called Where Evil Lurks, which was the big movie of 2023 that came out like a sleeper hit.
Which is actually really good, but also super hard to watch.
So when I remember people saying this is like one of the best horror movies. So it didn't register until later when I was like, wait a second, I think that's the movie he gave me. Fuck, that's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
But then I found out, oh no, Speak No Evil.
Yeah. I should have went See No Evil, even though that's not psychological horror. I'd have enjoyed watching that more and more.
I was actually talking about that movie the next day. So, all right, so you're letting some stuff slip. I'm guessing you didn't care for this. But why don't we talk about that at the end?
All right, yeah.
So, I guess quick. Hey, is that the train?
The train's here.
Train is here. I was terrified. The train is here, everybody.
Yeah.
He knew that I was. He woke up just in time for me to get into Speak No Evil.
Exactly.
So, I feel like a quick one sentence sum up. A couple befriends another couple while vacationing in Europe, and then get invited back to their little house as a little vacation. And then things start acting weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a couple, Bjorn and Louise, I believe is her name.
Yeah.
And they have a daughter, Agnes. They're a Danish family or a Dutch family.
They're Danish.
They're Danish, and they're vacationing in Italy. Yeah. They have their daughter Agnes, and the first 10 minutes of this movie is basically them socializing. I don't know if it was a specific event they're there for, but
they're just vacationing in Tuscany.
They're just vacationing.
Yeah.
Socializing.
Or on holiday for our international listeners.
Yes. And Bjorn's just trying to enjoy some time at his villa with his family. And they befriend a couple, Patrick and Karen, and their young son Abel, that they had met at the party. They met him the next day.
These are the Dutch couple.
They are the Dutch couple.
Yeah.
So you have the Danish family, who is Bjorn and Louise and Agnes, and the Dutch family, who is Patrick and Karen with their son Abel.
Yes.
So I wrote a little star on this one because I said, because they felt like rich people because they're vacationing in Tuscany, and I said, what's funny about a group of rich? Because at this point I thought something's going to go wrong in Italy.
Yeah.
I said, what's funny about a rich people in horror movie is that you can pretty much do anything you want to them, and the audience will all just kind of instinctively think they kind of deserve it anyway, just because they're rich.
Yeah. I don't think they're rich. I think they're upper middle class. Cause
in the first 10 minutes, I thought they were rich.
Yeah, but being from like Danish and being from where they're from, vacationing in Italy is a lot cheaper for them than it would be for us.
Oh, I understand that as the movie went on, but in the first 10 minutes, I just thought, it's a bunch of rich people together, or something going to happen.
Yeah.
That was just my initial thought.
Right.
So, after their Italy vacation, the couple goes home. Bjorn and Louise, they go home, and at some point, I don't know how much time it's passed, but they get a letter from the couple that they had met.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, we hit it off with you guys. We'd love to hang out. We have our son, roughly the same age as your daughter. Why don't you guys come on over? Was it to the Netherlands?
Yeah.
Come over here to our place here in the Netherlands and kind of just hang out for a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're like, after a little bit of coaxing, they're like, well, you know what? It's good to meet new people from other countries. Why? Yeah, let's go meet these people.
Yeah.
So they bring their daughter and they go. Oh yeah, I said I wish I had drop everything and go on vacation money.
Right.
I specifically wrote that. All right.
Yeah.
So they get there. First couple days are fine. Or first 2 days are fine.
I don't even say it's the first 2 days. I feel like it was just the first night was okay for them.
Well, it was the first night, but then in the daytime, it was still somewhat okay. It was just drinks, pleasantries. However, there is like a lingering feeling of you're watching a horror movie, so you know that something's brewing.
Yeah, and this Dutch was kind of like slowly like pushing like social norm what's acceptable to this couple.
Yeah, they're getting like too familiar, like acting.
Yeah, they're
like
testing them. Yeah.
Yeah, like at one point they say something about when she says she's a vegetarian, and then one guy like they keep serving meat even though she's like vegetarian, and they one of the nights they're like going out for drinks, and then they start making out like in the corners, like they're acting like they've known them for like years and years, but they've just met these people.
Yeah,
and they've also noticed Bjorn and Luis also noticed they're acting particularly cold towards their son.
Yeah.
At first it's nothing much. It's just, at one night they hear the child like moaning in the bedroom, and they said, "Oh, are you gonna go see him?" And they said, "Oh no, he has a condition. He doesn't have a tongue. He was born without a tongue." They said, and he just kind of has to work through it himself.
Yeah.
So as a foreigner in a stranger's house, you're like, okay, I mean, it's weird, but I mean, I guess they just do
how
things.
I parent, but all right, yeah.
They obviously, I'm not going to come in here and tell them how to raise their kid.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, all that sounds okay, but then night 2 comes along.
Yeah.
And now it starts getting a little weird. Uncomfortable dinner conversation, and I had mentioned Patrick and Karen go off and like make out in the corner, and it's like, okay, you guys were kind of normal earlier, and now you're just kind of acting too familiar. And they also make Bjorn pay for the drinks and meal.
Yeah.
Well, don't make him, but like trick him into paying for it.
Yeah.
And then Patrick drives home drunk.
Yeah.
All right. This is where it starts getting out of hand here.
Yeah.
They go back to the house. Patrick's been being a belligerent asshole for the past drive home. Luis wants to rinse off. She goes and rinses off, and she hears a door open. What the fuck is that? Turns out it's Patrick coming inside, using the bathroom.
Yeah, brushing his teeth while she's taking a shower.
While she's in the shower. That's the kind of familiar I'm talking about. Like, you could get away with that from somebody who you've known since you've been, like, teenagers or lifelong friends. You could get away with something like that. But I've known you less than 24 hours, dude. Like, who?
Yeah, like, I don't... You couldn't even get away with that with, like, someone who's been, like, your lifelong friend.
Well, not if you're married.
If you did it to their wife, even that's not okay.
No, that's not. I'm saying if that was a lifelong friend of yours, she probably wouldn't be like she'd probably be like, not give a shit if she was your lifelong friend and she wasn't married. But not. But if you know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
That there's a difference between a stranger doing it and somebody you kind of know. You know what I mean? So. And then I put after that, so sex time after that?
Yeah.
Weirdly, she goes back to her bed where Bjorn is, doesn't tell him about it.
No.
And then they start having sex.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Okay.
And their daughter starts calling out for them because she has to sleep in the same room as Abel, but she wants to sleep in mom and dad's room. Plus, you kind of get the feeling she probably does it. She's young enough that she does that anyway.
Yeah.
And they ignore her.
Yeah.
They just flat out ignore her. And Luis notices a silhouette like Patrick watching them.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop anything though. They finish up.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, some time passes. Luis wakes up and is like, "Oh yeah, my daughter," and then she can't find her. Goes to Patrick's room. He's passed out, naked, drunk on the bed, and the daughter is lying next to him. So now time to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that. You leave.
That's when you leave.
And if you're the dad, you're lucky that's all you do. You don't like shank the guy who's butt naked laying in bed and your daughter's laying next to him.
Yeah.
She wakes up the husband, doesn't say anything, just says, "Wake up, we gotta go.
We're leaving now." Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that makes this a frustrating watch.
Yeah.
Wakes and she says, "We gotta go." And he's like, "Okay, what? Okay." So they get in the car and they just drive.
And then they're
what a short movie.
And their daughter's like, "Hey, I forgot my rabbit."
Yo, fuck this rabbit.
The mom's like, "I don't care about that rabbit," which flips the tone from earlier in the movie, because while they're in Tuscany, daughter lost the rabbit and mom made dad
was willing to let her
run all around the city.
Was willing to let her husband get lost in Tuscany.
Yeah. But now she's like, "Screw that rabbit. Keep driving. We gotta
keep driving." But then the dad drives and he's like, "Fine, I'll turn around and go get the rabbit." Like,
he's like, "Screw this." He's like, "I'm gonna go back." Yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry, but you've been saying for the past 24 hours how you didn't even want to be here. This wife has been saying. And then you find your daughter sleeping next to a naked, passed out, drunk dude who you've been having issues with all night. You're not going to turn around and go back there.
Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody who don't have kids.
Right. I would not be turning back. I'm like, "Hey.
Like, I have enough sense to know.
Sorry. We'll get you a new rabbit. We'll get you a real rabbit. Get you a pet when you get home."
Oh, by the way, doll was there.
Yeah.
They turn around and they go back. Dad says, "I'm going to go in and try to get the rabbit." While he's in there, daughter's like, "Oh, here it is." At that point, I was like, "Kid,
oh, you're
making it really hard for me not to hope you die." As harsh as that sounds.
Yeah, her faith's not good.
All right, so we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So they go back. Patrick and Karen talk about how it was all just a misunderstanding, everybody.
Yeah, and then they tell me, "Sorry, we don't have a big house like you do, and your daughter had to sleep in our son's room."
By the way, she was calling out for you. Where were you guys?
Yeah. And if you didn't like meat, just say you don't eat that.
Which she did. She's been saying she's a vegetarian since they met her.
Yeah.
So I said, and then I had to put a star next to this, and I said, "These are grown-ass adults with a kid." It baffles me how grown adults can just be shamed into doing stuff they don't want to do. Because they were ready to leave. And
which is even basically the theme of this movie is...
The name of this movie should have been "You Should Have Left."
Yeah, but it's basically the such couple scene. How far can we push these two people?
Can we guilt and shame them?
How much can we get away with these people? Yeah, basically.
And look, they still came back.
Yeah, and so
they stuck around.
The two moms do some gardening while...
Which, by the way, even if all of what they said is true, what the fuck does that have to do with me waking up to find out my daughter's sleeping next to your butt-ass naked self?
Yeah. Well, she was like, "Well, I grabbed her because she was crying and you weren't there." Making her feel like a bad mom.
That's what I'm saying. The guilt thing, I was like, you know what? Whatever.
I would have been like, "You know what? Well, your kid ain't got no tongue."
Or just like, let's say all that's true. You just be like, "You know what? I'm still not comfortable. We're leaving anyway."
Yeah.
Leaving anyway.
So, like, the moms are still very tense towards each other. Patrick and Bjorn go on a ride. Bond over music. It seems like their friendship was easily fixed.
Yeah, wow. This guy just kind of likes everything I like.
Yeah. And, they talk about how, Bjorn kind of feels repressed in his life. He's like, "Yeah, I just kind of work and go home, be a dad. That's it."
Yeah, take $1,000 vacations in Tuscany.
Yeah.
That's all my life is. I'm out here in the Netherlands. My life is awful.
Yeah, so he takes them to this valley, and he's like, "Here, no one can hear you." Sometimes you just gotta scream it all out.
Which they do.
Yeah, they do. They go back, and they're getting ready to have dinner or lunch or whatever. The mom cuts her finger, and Bourne's like, "Well, lucky there's a doctor in the house." And they're like, "What?" "Well, Patrick, in Tuscany, didn't you tell us you were a doctor?"
Yeah, Tuscany, Patrick apparently...
Another time, I would have left. And they're like, "Oh no, we lied to you."
This dude's a full of shit.
Patrick just kind of got intimidated by people who seem wealthy.
So I just lied about being a doctor, is all.
Yeah. Okay, I would have been like, you know what? Thank you guys, but no, thank you. We're gonna go.
Like, at this point, this is being cartoonish. Like, who is sticking around? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So, and no, they still stick around because they have no common sense. And
they had lunch, and then the kids had to show them their dance.
Yeah, kids have to say, "Hey, look, we did this dance," and then
this scene is rough.
Yes, you see Agnes putting on this little dance, and Abel is like just unenthusiastic. He's just sad. He's not doing it right, and Patrick is just like yelling and being god awful to this kid.
I understand it's how accurate, but it's still rough to watch him be berated.
Yes, it's a hard watch.
Yeah,
if you don't like movies like Girl Next Door, don't watch this movie. Just or just movies that involve kids being like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So anyway,
yeah, Patrick finally gets so enraged he throws his mug at Abel.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, Picard's like, "Yo, dude, what the fuck,
dude? What? That is like not cool. You're sitting there like your kid is crying. You're throwing shit at him."
Yeah, and they're like, "Well, no, we just do things differently." He's like, "They're just doing things differently when they're doing things that are right. This isn't right."
Then there's being psychopaths.
Yeah. Another time when they should have just been like, "You know what? We're out. We're leaving.
We're out. Hey, sorry, Abel, but we're out."
Yeah.
So. Okay, so some times pass because they're going to go pack, right? Or do they decide they're going to just leave the next day?
They're gonna leave the next day. So it's at night, and Bjorn's kind of outside. He discovered that there's a cabin behind their house.
Well, it's not that he discovers that the door was left open and it was making noise, and he's like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And he goes and he checks out this barn. He goes and walks in, and he goes inside, and he sees all these cameras and purses and souvenirs and things, and pictures of families.
Families like there's 2 parents, 1 kid.
2 parents and 1 kid, and in each of the pictures is Patrick and Karen, each with the kid from the previous family.
Yeah, so basically, he puts together they've been killing the parents, taking the kid. And then he sees Abel in the pool. Drowned. He's dead.
Yes, he just time to go.
Yeah, so he wakes
Not
up.
only time to go, but time to wake your wife up and tell her what's going on, and let's go, right?
Yeah, and once again, a breakdown of communication, because he doesn't tell his wife what happened.
Yep.
Just like she didn't tell him what happened with the daughter laying in the bed. She just said, "We gotta leave," and he was like, "Hey, we gotta leave." He's driving, he sees a car following him, so he swerves off the road, gets stuck. And he's like, "Shit. Alright, well,
you know what I wish would have happened right here?
What?
Dad, my bunny.
Shit. He's like, "Okay, you guys stay in this car. I'm gonna go to this house over there."
This car breaks down.
Yeah. He thought Patrick was following. It wasn't him, but he swerved off the road and got stuck, basically. He's stuck on the side of the road. He goes, leaves his family, goes to this house. No one tell him.
He starts going back to his car.
Yeah.
And Luis and Agnes aren't in there. Yeah. And he's like freaking out, like, where are you? Where are you? And then a car comes by. Who is it? It's Patrick with his wife and daughter in the car.
Yeah.
Thank God his wife called Patrick because they were in need of help.
Oh.
That's right.
Yeah. And he's like, just get in the car.
Yes, that's right. The wife called Patrick.
Yeah.
This okay. So,
and Picard's like, we're going back to your house, right?
Yeah, sure. Just get in the car.
Yeah.
Now, the last 10 minutes is a rough one.
Yeah.
So, obviously, they're not going back home.
Yeah.
They're sitting there. bless their heart, Bjorn, bless his heart, he thinks that he's pulling one over on them by saying, "We're going back to your place, right? Oh yeah, thank you." Pretending like they don't know that they already know what they saw.
Yeah.
They pull over to the side. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when he pulled over to the side of the road, once again, Bjorn had a chance to escape. Patrick leaves the keys in the car.
Mm-hmm.
But Bjorn
didn't do it for some reason.
Being the pushover coward that he is, just sits there.
Even though he's in the car with somebody who is a known child murderer and other people murderer.
He knows the fate that's going to befall him and his family.
But
he does nothing.
Doesn't do anything.
Yeah. And once he gets back in the car, he tries. He takes a swing at Patrick and then gets his ass whipped.
And then we see a guy come out of nowhere from another car.
Their family babysitter from a couple nights ago.
Yep.
Up in the car door, start choking out Louisa. Yeah, and
Agnes gets it the worst.
Yeah, and then
they cut out.
Mother grabs Agnes and cuts out Agnes's tongue.
Yeah, Karen cuts out Agnes's tongue.
Yeah, and then they send Agnes with the babysitter and take Louisa and Bjorn to the ballet thing that Patrick took Bjorn to earlier. And they get there, he's like, "Take your clothes off." They do. They go down in there. And they just start chucking rocks at him.
And they stone him to death.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Why are you doing this?" And they said, "Because you allowed us to."
Somebody obviously saw strangers.
Yeah.
Why? Because you were home?
But that was the point of the movie, is they kept pushing him, seeing how much they'd get away with.
And there were so many instances where they could have
given him so many chances to leave, and they didn't because of social pressures and
just being
guilty.
Stupid.
Yeah, and just being pushovers. So they get stoned to death.
That's how it ends. Agnes is now the new faux child.
Yeah, and
to lure other people in.
After they're stoned to death, you see another family on vacation. Then you see Patrick in a car, Karen with Agnes in the back seat. That was Speak No Evil, yeah.
Now, it sounded like you were more antsy to say stuff about this than I was, so if you are chomping at the bit to say something.
This movie sucked.
I knew Tim Robbins was going to pull this one out for me.
Like, it's an hour and, 15 minutes of boring bullshit?
It's an hour and 37-minute movie, yeah.
For the final 15 minutes to give us something happening? Because the first hour and 15 minutes, it's a family vacationing with a weird family.
Well, in the first 10 minutes, you already know, okay, the Netherlands couple are obviously going to be evil or something, so let's go ahead and get to it. We know that's going to be the setup.
Yeah,
and then shit. Yeah. And then when we see that they have an interest in the kid, or okay, they obviously have an interest in the kid, it's obvious, so let's have something happen. It's I don't get how we see it, but these parents don't.
Yeah. It was an hour and 15 minutes of boring watch. I was bored.
It was more uncomfortable. It was an uncomfortable watch because you just know it's there's.
It is uncomfortable, but it's being bored and uncomfortable is not something you want to do for an hour and 15 minutes.
No, what I mean by it's like being the fifth person, in a group of two couples or something like that, and everything is they're starting to argue. And it's all right, this is getting uncomfortable. You don't want to be in the middle of that. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I mean but uncomfortable doesn't really translate into scary for me.
Yeah.
And I
chose Stinker.
I'm glad that you feel the same way.
Because you didn't like it either.
I hated this movie.
Yeah, I was Chris isn't gonna really like this, or he absolutely hates this.
I hated this movie.
Yeah,
I still. All right, so I got notes on the. Oh no, what is it? This is what I said on the ending. I said I've seen my fair share of things like my torture porns and over the top gore, but those are in a genre all their own. Personally, I don't find torturing kids scary.
Yeah,
but I just find it more as a cheap gimmick because I'm supposed to feel scared for the kid.
Yeah, it's unnecessary.
Seeing the kid get bullied by his quote unquote parents, and then Agnes getting her tongue cut out. I'm not scared or anything but I just feel like you added that in there for me to feel something just because it's a kid. You know what I mean?
I might have liked the movie a little bit better if they just had the babysitter grab Agnes.
That's what I was thinking.
Just grab her and take her, and not show her getting her tongue cut out.
If you just see like a baggot put over the kid's head, and then
boom,
boom,
she's getting taken away while Louise is getting choked out, and Patrick's giving the
weirdly
combo to Bjorn.
I would have found that more disturbing than this tongue cutting scene.
Yeah.
You just have her kicking and screaming and getting hauled away and put a bag over her head, and then she drives off. That to me is scarier.
Yeah. It's one of those things where less is more.
And it really, the last 10 minutes did not fit the tone of the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Because
stoning so much death. That's a really cool fucking death scene.
Yes.
But the fact that we have to take for fucking ever to get there. By that time, I'm just I don't care. I'd rather you just put a bullet in each of them and just end it.
Just be done with it. Just be done with it. Because I didn't feel anything. Because the entire time, I'm more frustrated at the end because I'm sitting here going, "You guys."
Yeah, because you're so overly frustrated with these parents. You're like, at this point, what's happening to you is your own damn fault.
I just feel bad for Agnes. Well, not really, because she wants to keep going back for that stupid rabbit.
But she is a kid. But yeah,
I understand that. Yeah. I know. But because I had to say this, and this is coming from a guy who we make fun of me for quote unquote hating kids, but no, I don't like seeing them get tortured.
Yeah, yeah,
it more left me kind of bummed out just because.
It's just
and just because. You spend most of the movie frustrated because any right-minded I know there's a suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
But this is to a comedic extent where it's there is no reason you guys shouldn't have turned yesterday.
Yeah. Maybe, Danish people are just kind of super polite pushovers. I don't know.
According to this movie.
Yeah. But the fact that this movie's getting an American remake already, that's coming out this year.
Wait, when did this movie come out?
2022.
And it's already getting a remake?
Yeah. Being made by Blumhouse.
That definitely seems like it'd be in their wheelhouse.
So it's probably Blumhouse is super hit or miss. It is going to be starring James McAvoy.
I wonder which one he is. I wonder if he's Bjorn or if he's.
He has to be Patrick.
Yeah, he would have to be Patrick.
If he's the push, I can't see him playing a pushover. Yeah, it's James McAvoy and James Watkins.
Why do I know James Watkins? Why does that name sound familiar?
I don't know. James Watkins is directing it. Oh. He directed The Woman in Black and Eden Lake.
And what was the second one?
Eden Lake.
I don't know that one, but I did like Woman in Black.
Yeah. And it's set to be released September 13th of this year. I don't know if I'd want to watch it.
No. I mean, I know sometimes...
Knowing Blumhouse, I feel like they'd probably it wouldn't be as boring for the first 95%.
It would really play up the thriller aspect.
Yeah. And that might be more in my wheelhouse. I don't know.
We'll have to mention when the trailer comes out.
Yeah.
All right, so we have to give this a ranking here.
Yeah.
And we have to pick our next one.
Yep.
All right, now I'm again trying to be fair with my scoring here.
Yeah.
So technicals, I'd say, is probably where the highest score is.
Yeah, because it is shot pretty well.
admittedly, it is shot pretty well.
Yeah.
It's nothing fantastic, but I still
visually it's a good looking movie.
I still gave it a 6.7.
Yeah, I'm at a 6.5.
Okay,
so I'm right there with you, basically.
Yeah, and usually 6s aren't bad either. It's a step above average.
Yeah.
Story. I put, because I can't let it flow into my enjoyment, make my thing for story. The story, I said 5.4.
Okay.
I said, while the material itself can be frightening, some of the decisions were a little too nonsensical. Like, well, this is also one of the things I was wondering. For Patrick and Karen, why would you wine and dine the people you're about to kill?
Some serial killers just get off on that type of stuff. It's very psychological, yeah.
Oh, because I was like, why didn't you just put 2 in their heads like the first night and then just do like you were going to do anyway? But,
yeah, for me, for story, I went 3.5. Mm-hmm. Original story with a lot of potential, but it just falls flat. They don't go about what could have been a really good story the right way for me.
I gave it a little bit more just because, kind of like how you said at the end, and what they said, that was the point of when they said, you let us, which basically means that was the point of the movie, is that we know that they should have left, but it was at what I think this movie was pretty much for the audience to figure out where their natural gauge is.
Yeah.
So that they would be like, I would have left here.
Yeah.
So the fact, I do think that they did that part well, because that was their point they were trying to get across. So that's why I gave it a couple more points.
Maybe it's just I didn't find the characters interesting either.
Well, neither did I. That's why I gave enjoyment a 4. There were scenes that were tense.
Yeah.
And the ending is harsh, and the ending is supposed to make you not feel good. But damn it, like, and I do give it credit for that. Damn, man, this movie, as much as I kid about hating kids, like I said, I don't really enjoy movies where I see them getting hurt, or tortured. So,
see, for me, I gave it a 3 in enjoyment. You said 4?
Yeah, I said 4. Just because I do give it credit for the tense scenes and what it was, the whole point of what it was trying to do, even if I still didn't. I enjoyed certain bits of what it was trying to do. I just didn't overall enjoy it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was hoping like that you were hating this too, because I was like, man, I need this to win.
Yeah. So my total was a 13 out of 30. Yours was 16.1 out of 30. For an average score of 14.55 out of 30.
Which means I snaked it. I'm still alive.
Yeah. I think that might be the largest margin of victory of any movies we've had.
And that's just because I'm really generous when it comes to my grading. I knew that you were rolling a dice when it came to psychological horror, too, because for me, psychological horror can either be really, really good or really fucking boring.
Yeah. I should have picked Last Night in Soho.
But it would have had to been one we hadn't reviewed yet.
Oh yeah, true.
I know. The more seasons we do, the harder it is.
Right.
Speaking of,
I'm gonna watch that tonight though.
But Last Night in Soho.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, this is a less thing. This is just delving into the personal lives of BodyBag podcast for 1 second. My sister, said that she had gotten me a souvenir when she was over somewhere, but she didn't end up getting it, but she was about to, but then somebody snaked it from her, and it was about a foot tall statuette of a weird clown that looked exactly like the Hell House clown.
Oh.
And she said it was for somebody was getting rid of it for $4.50. I was so bummed out because that would have been so cool.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, Hell House has been my newest horror obsession as of late.
Yeah, I'm happy I got to introduce you to that.
Yes, that No, even if Dave and I parted on horrible terms, he still left me with that gift.
Yeah.
All right, we need to spin for the next one. Thank you, Tim Robbins, for helping me snake that one out.
Still up 2-1 though.
2-1, but you know what? Even if you win all the other ones, I'd just be happy that I at least got one win.
Right.
I can't just have a complete blowout. And I went ahead and deleted all of the ones that we did do, so no more respins.
All right.
Oh, for some reason it didn't save, so never mind. This one might need a reroll because this was one of the ones I deleted it was non-horror, so it was going to be the scariest non-horror movie you've ever seen.
Oh,
I think that's a little too.
Yeah.
So that's one that was going to be deleted. So I'm not going to count this as a reroll of ours.
Right.
This may take a while. This was Holiday. That was one that I deleted.
Yeah.
We already did post-apocalyptic. This one was the one that we re-rolled last time, and that was a reboot.
Oof.
So, hey, I'm willing to keep rolling until we get to one that we haven't done or the one I didn't delete.
Roll those dice.
All right, this is one we haven't done yet. Foreign horror.
Okay,
foreign horror. Train to Busan.
You're on Train to Busan?
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Okay.
I'm pulling a Dave here.
All right.
Have you seen it?
I've seen parts of it.
I'd rather choose one that neither of us have seen if I can think of one. But you can pick whatever you want. Let me see if I can think of a different one. Oh, okay. I'm gonna say Ringu.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen the Japanese version. I've only seen the American. So Ringu. Ringu's gonna be my foreign horror.
Okay.
Plus, that's also a classic. It'll be good to talk about.
Yeah.
So even if I fumble my way through an explanation, well, the point of these are the point of these are supposed to be ones that you haven't seen, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. That was the whole point of these, is that they're supposed to be ones we both heard that you have not seen, correct?
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
I choose, yeah.
All right, so let me rethink then.
I haven't seen Ringu, so.
You've never seen Ringu?
No.
Oh, then I'll keep mine then.
Yeah.
Although at some point I do need to get around to watching Train to Busan.
Yeah. Let's see.
Pulling
Okay.
See which foreign horrors have the most on Rotten Tomatoes.
No, I'm like searching for like obscure foreign horror movies that we could actually find out here.
Godzilla. From 1941 or 1950 whatever.
Yeah.
Are you just trying to dive deep into some obscure like asylum stuff?
No, I'm like countries you wouldn't think about.
I chose Ringu because I need another win, and I know it's relatively at least a good movie. Plus, this has also been the last two seasons have also been more so last season was a lot of you giving me some Japanese horror and.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with La La Land, a 2011 Thai horror film on Tubi.
You know what I just thought would have been a fun one for me to give you?
What?
Was it the one that just came out? Godzilla -1? Did you see that?
Not yet. I've been meaning to watch it, but haven't gotten around to it.
Okay, so it's called Lotta Land?
LADDALAND.
At first I thought you said La La Land. I was like, well, I've already seen it and I like the movie, but I don't think it's a horror movie. It's a musical.
Yeah.
All right, so Lotta Land versus Ringu.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting one because I know the story of Ringu, but I have not seen the Japanese version. And I sure as hell have never heard of La La Land.
Right.
Well, I just want to go ahead and dedicate this episode, if I may, to Mr. Timothy Robbins. Thank you very much, good sir. Thank you, Mr. Dufresne, for keeping me in this a little while longer.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening. Have a good week.
See ya. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to BodyBag Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment as to what you'd like to hear us review or any horror movie topics you'd like to hear us rant and rave about.
And while you're at it, you can find us on Twitter at BodyBagPod and on Instagram at BodyBagPodcast.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time.